Hello everyone and welcome to another Team Top Deck testing video. With you here today is Zerda and I'm bringing you a spicy one. This here is Budget Blue-Black Reanimator for Standard. And here looking at this hand, we're not exactly happy with it. We'd rather have some kind of a looting effect to get these into the yard and fix our horrible mana situation, so we're going to go ahead and take a mulligan. Alright, so here we have the same problem, but at least we get to put one back. Card disadvantage at its finest. We have a way to start trying to filter through our draws, and we have some self-mill as well as a reanimation spell. So we're going to go ahead and keep this one. Gonna bin a Lotleth Giant because we already have one, and I doubt we're going to want both. Sorry about whatever I'm doing with my voice, but I refuse to stop. Alright, so we have a Tomebound Lich, and hopefully we're not up against Mono Red here. That would mean we'd probably want to deploy our Mire Triton first, even though we want to hit our land drops. Alright. I think they're holding up a, what's it called? Bone Crusher Giant over there. And as such, I think I'm going to lead on the Mire Triton after all. This could come back to bite me if I miss my land drop. But honestly, I think it's just the safest bet. I don't want to expose this for no value when I could just play out this. Now, there is still some thought that I could have given to, would I rather have a Death Touch threat against a Bone Crusher Giant, or would I rather start doing my own game plan after I found the land? And honestly, I think I'd rather start my own game plan, although having drawn the land for the Tomebound Lich, no, I think I was wrong there. I think I'd have rather had the blocker for it, although this kind of is anyway. So either way. And we did find our best reanimation target there. We'll be discarding the Lotleth Giant. Ooh, and we won't even be losing life to do it. So worth noting, this does have Death Touch, which, in case you don't know how that works with Trample, it is quite rude. The way it works is that you apply 1 damage to the blocker, and the rest tramples on over. So, yeah, we would block here 100%. We're just trying to stay alive. Oh. Suppose we're gonna block the Fervent Champion then? They could have the Run Amok spell, but if they have Run Amok... But if they don't, and they're just trying to force through damage while they still can... Honestly, it could go either way, and I think I'd rather they Run Amok than play an Annex, hardened by the Forge, so I'm gonna put it in front of the Fervent Champion in the hopes that they have it. Oh. Or they just trade and I gain no life. Either way, they didn't deploy a 3-drop there, so I'm happy enough with the outcome. Here's their Annex. Alright, so here, I'm going to take the opportunity to double spell. And yeah, I think reanimating the Endrays is enough to swing this race wildly in our favor, so I'm probably going to do that next turn, even if it's not exactly lethal yet. I will allow their attack. Suppose I'll kill their Fervent Champion, trade it in for a token. That card can get annoying later. Not exactly what we wanted, but we can make do. And here, gonna go ahead and get back the Endray's Forerunners. Pump our team. It is now vigilant. We will bin the Fabled Passage. We're just looking for another reanimation spell here. Also worth noting, that isn't lifelink until end of turn, that is a lifelink counter. Right, so the opponent's going to take more damage than they think they do. That is how Trample interacts with Death Touch. It's just a happy coincidence that it's that helpful on the combo turn. This could be a problem, but... oh, they're still attacking. Alright, so here... 1, 2, 3, 4. And they've conceded. They see that we can block, gain some life back, and be in a very, very powerful position. So after that game 1, I'm going to go ahead and show you all the deck. Alright, so we are playing 23 lands. I've left this deck at 12 rares, which I think is 12 to 14 is going to be the budget series range. We have 4 Endray's Forerunners, as it's the best budget reanimation target we can have. If we were upgraded, we'd probably be running Draco Seth and Villas, but for the budget version, this is a very, very powerful build. The Lotleth Giant, your next upgrade would be turning this into something like a Draco Seth. Draco Seth is just a lot more powerful than the Lotleth Giant, and this is more of a kind of close out a game that you've been able to get in there a little bit with, and it's the next best. It's also the next best with the lifelink, because this is damage, so you will gain that as life. It doesn't really win the game on its own, though, like the Endrays kind of can. Also, if you were to do that, I would be replacing the Cauldron's Gifts with the Bond of Revival, so that you could haste the Draco Seth out of the yard. That's pretty important for the non-budget build. Of course, there would also be temples there, but as it is now, I think this is the minimum I'd be comfortable with playing. I like having my mana come into play untapped, and I think it is, well, untapped and having the source of it. Temples being the lowest on the tier for me, below Fabled Passage and Watery Grave if you don't have enough other untapped sources. Next up, we have Merfolk Secret Keeper as a little bit of self-mill to try and hit our targets, as well as a body to have in play for the Endray's Forerunners and kind of buy us some time. Some Thought Erasure is a little bit of mill, and to help set up the combo and try and find our pieces, as well as a little bit of interaction, which is pretty key against any deck that has something like counterspells in it, or even against something like Fires that can just put up a huge board and try and, get in front of you. We do have the Death Touch threats, which make that a lot harder for them to stop damage, but it doesn't make it impossible. Night Veil Sprite is a little bit of a way to, once again, self-mill, try and set up the combo. Also, it flies for the Endray's Forerunners. Facet Reader as some looting, just trying to hit that combo. We are very much all in. Tombstalker Lich, or Tomebound Lich, Tombstalker Lich. Now I see why all those other magic content creators mispronounce everything. This is apparently difficult. Anyway, Death Touch lifelink, pretty relevant on the lifelink there, even if it's only pot shots that you get in for. Against something like Mono Red, that can be a lot of difference. Same with the Mire Triton, gaining you life and self-milling. And just drawing, discarding, looting repeatedly is a very, very powerful effect in any deck, really. It's a shame that current standard is so powerful that this isn't seeing play. I think in other times a 1/3 Death Touch lifelink that loots repeatedly would be very, very powerful. Then we have Unbreakable Bond. This grants lifelink, which, as you saw in that game, is very relevant. It will swing our life total very, very wildly. Even if we bring back a Lotleth Giant, that's still a lot of life we can gain. And then we'll have a giant 6/5 lifelinker. Cauldron's Gift for some self-mill for those desperation moments when, well, I don't have the card I want. Maybe you have a Lotleth Giant but not a Endray's Forerunners, and you just need to win. You just go ahead and cast it even without that in your yard. Hope you mill it, and if you didn't, you were going to lose anyway in that situation. And if you do, you just win, or you buy yourself some time with a new 6/5 or even bring back one of your other guys if you were really, really far behind and just needed to really hope to hit something. In any case, that is the deck. It is very straightforward, but it's only 12 rares. It is pretty far into the budget range. I don't know how many uncommons. Do they have that statistic for you? Nope. Oh. Well, in any case, let's go back and find the uncommon count. So this deck is mostly uncommons, it appears. So if you don't have very many uncommons, that could be a problem. Maybe I'll start counting those for budget builds, but to me, uncommons you should be able to get fairly easily just by playing and doing a few drafts. Just build up that gold until you have enough for a draft and try and chain them together. Or buy packs. You get a lot of uncommon wildcards that way as well, if you really aren't very good at draft or the current draft format being supported. In any case, let's get right back into those games. So here we're playing against Jordan 23. On the play, not terrible. We have some looting. We have Thought Erasure for some interaction. Don't know what our opponent's playing. No companion. I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Lead on a tapped Watery Grave. So here, that does kind of tempt me to play out the Mire Triton and start getting in a little bit of damage, but I think I'd be much better suited by starting to loot. So I'm going to, this turn, lead on Island into Thought Scour. Try and see what the opponent's doing so I know exactly how I'm looting. Elspeth, Uro, so double Uro, can't take those. That's the downside of playing this, but I think the synergy with our deck makes it worth it. I think they're going to be doing some kind of blinking, what's his name, Agent of Treachery deck. I think Elspeth Conquers Death is the best card against us, taking our big fatty if we don't kill it in a single turn, so I'm going to go ahead and take the Elspeth Conquers. And there we go, milled the Endrays. Better lucky than good, they always say. And no attacks. So we'll have the most possible information when we loot and give them the least possible. Arrow is done. Our plan here is to just draw one, discard the Lotleth next turn, loot again, probably just Mire Triton. There we go. Alright, so here, I think I would rather Thought Erasure into Facet Reader. Ooh, Shatter the Sky. Yeah, I think we're going to take the Shatter the Sky here. It's a card that does something, and we don't really want that for our opponent. Get rid of that. Drop Facet Reader 2. And since we can't loot, we will be swinging in for 1. Now we just need to hit that reanimation spell and get in there. I think another consideration is that if this wasn't a budget build, we might play Uro to, start drawing a few more cards, and we do fuel it pretty well. Alright, lead on a loot. There we go, that informs the rest of our plays. Which means Mire Triton, and attack with everything, because we already have the spell we need. End turn. I can't bring back the Uro yet. and we're going to get in there for a lot of damage. Won't quite be lethal, but this will be a large chunk of our opponent's life total. Grab a swamp. We're going to go ahead and put them on the old 2-turn clock here. Swing out. And they need an answer right now, or they are dead. Well, I suppose they don't quite, given they do have the Thassa to tap down our biggest threat. That is fine. And yeah, we will put them to 1. And just to be sure we can get in, even though it is a little bit risky, I do think we want to deploy our Mire Triton. And I think we hold on to our Facet Reader, because if they do Wrath, post-Wrath having a looter will be our best way to get to our next reanimation spell here. So if they play an Uro and they go to 4... Let's see. I would like the largest possible chance to just have them dead next turn, so I will play the Facet Reader. Even if it is very risky for a second Shatter the Sky. And we'll have to use their next 4 mana to tap down our End Rays if they want to continue getting in, and we will be trading with their Uro, should they not Wrath here. Oh, or they could just straight up bounce our Mire Triton. Or our End Rays. They're bouncing the End Rays.
I'll protect you.
So here we could guaranteed put them to 1. And that does stop them from swinging at us next turn. So I think what I'm going to do is swing everything at them, so they'll be forced to trade their Uro and not have as many cards next turn. I'll then do some self-mill with this Merfolk Secret Keeper. That's unfortunate. Milled 2 of our reanimation spells, leaving it behind just in case we need a post-Wrath creature. But now, a reanimation spell on Lot the Giant is also fine.
Let's try this.
And that is very, very nearly game. They're going to bounce one of our creatures, tap down the other 2. No, they cannot. It's the desperation draw there. Oof, Agent of Treachery. I think we've lost. We need the bond right now. They're going to take one of our lands. Oh no. Or they'll take our last Facet Reader. Alright, so we're still in it. Very far from being in a good spot, however. So we're going to hope they take our Facet Reader. Play out the Secret Keeper. Actually, we're going to hope they hit our land? No. We're in a bad spot no matter how you slice this. We got him close, though. 1 whiff there. Remember, that was off the top. 1 whiff, and we had this game. Mind you, they still had plenty of other outs, but, Agent, that card is brutal. remember, getting your opponent to 1, no matter how often, is not winning. This is proof of that.
Here we go.
And here they're blinking the agent. Are they taking the secret keeper? That's what it looked like they tried to mouse over. Nope. Another end raise forerunners. Oof. Alright, we have one more shot here before they start taking our lands and completely take over this game. Still can't get back the Uro, although they will be able to if they loot a few times. What is that at? It's not telling me, sadly. I'm gonna go ahead and block here. Build up that creature count. Not quite enough, but... Alright. They'll take a land, and we have one more draw step. Ho ho. They've gotten the Agent of Treachery draw going. Resolve. Find an island. Just go ahead and let them know ahead of time. I don't mind what they take here. We drew another land. We have one more. I know I keep saying this, but we have one more turn. Basically, we have until they Uro. And if they do, we are in the, just go ahead and concede then stage. As of now, if they don't Uro us,
I've got it.
We're a Cauldron's Gift or an unbreakable bond away from winning. Two more of those and we're dead? Yep. Oh, I think they're gonna Uro. What do you think the odds are that they deck before we die? 0? I thought so. Well, they still haven't Uro'd us. So we're still going to keep this going. Last turn we have here.
Here goes nothing.
Pretty sure that they'll just have the counterspell at this point, but hey, no point in not playing it out. I'm not gonna win by conceding. Although I think I'll just not be winning at all. Got two more games in me with this deck after this, and then I'll see you in the next video. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel a lot and will help us continue to grow and me to keep making this content. I'm kind of hoping to, once the quarantine's over, have this channel grown enough that I can continue doing this. I somehow greatly doubt I will be able to, but hey, you never know. Right, opponent continues to make not mistakes, I'd say, but there we go. That is game. Continue to be fairly cautious, so I wasn't sure if they would tap it down, and we'd have one more turn to, not entirely sure draw what, but who knows. Alright, moving on to the third game here. So as you saw, that deck, that was fairly powerful. We were very close to being able to win that one. Just a single point of damage more and we would have had it. Maybe I should play a few more 2-power creatures. I'm just not sure which ones would help the combo enough to be played. I go first with this hand. I very much like this. It's not exceptionally fast or anything, not like the green versions would be, but the green versions are also very, very inconsistent, I've found. I tried this with the 4-mana reanimation spell, I should mention. It just made the Endray's Forerunners not kill far, far too often. Swamp here. And hello to Facet Reader. Steamkin I am more okay with than some of the alternatives. Here I'm going to play a Mire Triton. Put something down to stand in the way of Steamkin, gain us a little bit of life, and keep the ability to loop. I do appreciate the sleeves letting us know what our opponent is doing here, though. Although you should never, ever take that seriously. Yes, I think I'll just go ahead and trade off here. We've already gained 2 life, and now we've traded for our opponent's creature. We have a Tomebound Lich after this anyway, so goodbye, Endrays. We have a Cauldron's Gift coming up. I'll go ahead and play the Fabled Passage, crack it now in case we need to loot in response to our Tomebound. Or if our opponent draws removal in response to us cracking, now we just get to do it no matter what. A little bit of a loot. Don't need to Thought Erasure. This isn't really a Thought Erasure matchup. And we should be able to win just off of the life we'll be gaining from the Endrays next turn. Remember, gaining life isn't good, but gaining life and doing anything else at the same time tends to be really, really good. We will just let this runaway Steamkin hit us if they choose to attack. We'd rather gain more life off of it and loot off of it. We're also not going to block with our Facet Reader. The reanimation next turn is just too valuable. And we want to hit for as much as we can to force our opponent onto the back foot. Oof. Then we're also fairly happy to have them do that. I'll discard the second Thought Erasure. Once again, that isn't really what this matchup is about. They'll be playing the Bone Crusher. Or light up the stage. Very good opponent. That's going to be a very, very strong turn for them. I'll be able to continue chaining with their Steamkins. When it gets up to 4, they'll be able to remove the counters, get the Bone Crusher. We might not be winning off the back of a single reanimation spell this game. Runaway Steamkin, still incredibly powerful. And now they can chain and annex. Oof, double light up the stage with double Steamkin out. That is gross. Scorch Spitter, they'll be able to continue playing spells. Looks like we'll only be trading with their annex. Huh. Well then, kinda wish I traded with the Steamkin. I think I made a horrible mistake in not doing that. Oh, that isn't the one I thought it was. We're in a lot more trouble than I thought. Oh, swing all anyway. There we go. Making sure the counter wasn't from Adamant. Well, they definitely want the Endrays dead. Phew, you're losing everything there. They're getting some tokens, though, and that could be unfortunate. And we still get our loot in. Thank you, Death Touch Trample interaction. We're gonna go ahead and discard the other Endrays there. We have a little bit of a life buffer with the Mire Triton, but really we just want to draw that lifelink reanimation spell. Play out Mire Triton, play a tapped Watery Grave. We only need to keep one land in hand at a time. block the 4-4 and get Embercleave to death, as I believe what's going to happen here. If we survive, yep, there's the Embercleave. Gonna say if we survive, our best shot is getting the other, what's it called? Getting the lifelink reanimation and hitting them for 7. So, once again, there to note, if we were playing the non-budget version, that would have been the haste spell, the Lotlith would have been a Draco Seth, and we would have cleaned their board. I misplayed there. I thought that was the lifelink one, which would have made us fine, but instead it left us incredibly dead on board. It was a horrible, horrible misplay on my end there. I am sorry for that, dear viewers. Going first with only discard against Luris, no thank you. I have the sprites, I have a Secret Keeper, I have both mana sources. I'll go ahead and keep this and be almost happy about it. I don't want the Thought Erasure though. It's really not the matchup for that. In a pinch here, Secret Keeper can be a key blocker. Wish there was a good way to get those back from the grave. But I think the best one for us is just fairly bad in general. Against the cycling deck, eventually I'll have a good blocker for the Fox. But do I want that to be next turn or 2 turns from now? I'd rather have the Tomebound Lich on 3, so I'm going to play the Secret Keeper this turn. And drop the Fabled Passage now, so that I can get the Black Source and play Tomebound Lich for sure next turn. I really want a blocker for that Flourishing Fox. It is capable of doing a lot of damage very, very quickly. As I'm sure all of you are aware. There we go, and let's take a loot. Probably discarding a Nightveil Sprite unless we draw a reanimation target. And we did. No attacks, I don't feel like sending the message. More like plopping that in front of their 3-1 for as long as I can. Next turn we can deploy both Nightveil Sprites and start looking for a reanimation spell, and unfortunately also another land. Let's see. Oof. Alright, lucky us there. I am not tempted to go swinging with the Tomebound Lich. Not only do I not think it would survive, I believe it would serve only to royally screw us. Mind you, if it did hit, it would set us up for a potential to kill next turn. Being able to draw discard, it would give us our only shot at reanimating Endray's Forerunners next turn. So if we were otherwise just dead on board, I would consider it, but I don't believe we're in that bad of a position right now. And that is, once again, only if it got through, and I see no reason for it to not have been chumped by a 1-1. That Tomebound Lich is very, very quickly going to be thrown under the bus to trade with a Flourishing Fox. Opponent correctly identifies all of their 1-1s would amount to nothing more than 1 point of damage, and losing 2 of them, so they're opting to hold those back until they're a little more impactful. Getting close to word about Xenoflare. This is a very good budget deck we're playing against as well. Just a little more well-known, and so I decided to opt for decks that you might not see as often. Alright, now we're just looking for a reanimation spell. We will be attacking with both, and even though we will get our reanimation, I don't think we'll be in the best of spots. Suppose it is possible our opponent swings all out. Goodbye Endrays. And if they do, we might be able to get in for an absurd amount of damage, but With their Luris, I don't think that's good enough. So we will bin both. Mill ourselves 4. Mill another reanimation spell. That is fine. I have considered playing the, if you have 3 or more islands, comes into play untapped non-basic, in order to play it and get back these unbreakable bonds and, what's the other one's name? Cauldron's Gifts, but as it stands, I don't entirely think that is the best way to go for this deck. It just would likely come into play tapped far too often. So we're taking 10, dropping to 5, and putting ourselves dead to Zenith Flare. Another upgrade I would have for this deck, by the way, is to play Cauldron of Eternity if you have the rares and mythics for it. It's pretty easy to bring out in this deck, as you can see from just the sheer number of instants and sorceries in the yard. And there's the Zenith Flare. That was fairly quick, so I'll give you one more game here. I think something I'm going to work on next time for this deck when I introduce its upgraded form, or its slightly altered renditions after testing it out a little bit more, is I'm going to be replacing those Thought Erasures. I think that would be better served in the board, and just trying to make this a little more all-in against Karuga. So fires, I'm going to want mana at least. And you can see here why I always say lands are one of the things you cannot really skimp out on. Maybe I'll fix the mana up a little with tightness in my throat. With some guild gates for it to stay within the budget range. Maybe I'll add 2 temples. 12 to 14 is where I like to try and keep it. I think I'll keep this. I'll ship a Cauldron's Gift. Just off the power of the Facet Reader being able to loot, and Fire's not being able to interact before I can get a loot on the play. So I'll go ahead and drop the Fabled Passage and pass the turn. I like those sleeves. That is pretty funny. The little gingerbread cookie from the trailer. Even the ones underneath. Checking if there's anything to interact with. Opponent seems to be not here right now. Ooh, that is not something I like to see. I was hoping to give you all a good game here, but I think my opponent is just AFK. I am terribly sorry. This is going to be terrible, terrible coverage. I'll give you another game if my opponent just isn't here. Well, I wish my opponent luck with whatever they're doing right now. I'd rather they were here, obviously, but unfortunately it looks like we're just going to get the free win in a way we don't enjoy. do 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 do. Opponent has timed out again. Oh, making me feel bad. But no, that is not how I want to pay for this ability. And we're gonna go ahead and continue playing like they were here. Suppose we would eventually want that Mire Triton. Trying to continue building a board for the end race. Wasn't wanting to show you a goldfish, but oh, it looks like what it's gonna be. And there you have it, the turn 3 flawless victory. This deck is the most powerful in Standard. Our opponent didn't even get to play a land before we won. Undeniable proof that you should be playing Budget Reanimator this Standard. So let's try and get in a real game here. And I'll show you what's in the pack, because I will otherwise forget. And let's see. What would you take first this draft format? I would take the Crystal, because I am bad at draft. Ooh, the Ozolith. I don't think that card is bad, but I'm not good at draft, so, you know. Maybe the Liger? I mean, I always take removal first, but, it's probably not right. And this does have cycling, and I've heard that's good. I've also heard white isn't the greatest, but this is a tapper, and, those are pretty strong. So instead of trying to figure out how to draft, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into another game with Budget Reanimator. Alright. Opponent goes first. They are Yorion. They're going to be a little interactive. We have a Facet Reader and Night Veil Sprites, though. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. We have a lot of ways to dig. Alright, so we're going to give up the Jig. I think our opponent's fires, which makes this a lot worse. I was imagining they were a controlling variant of Yorion. Also had some unfortunate mills there, but hey, what can you do? I'll lead on the Facet Reader because he helps me find the lands first, although I wish I could get down that Night Veil Sprite. Although, in the face of... Normally they have a lot of tap lands, that mountain makes me suspicious. I think... in the face of them definitely holding up removal, I'm going to deploy one of the Night Veil Sprites because the Facet Reader is more valuable, and if it does survive, it is the second highest upside play, next to Facet Reader. Omen of the Sea. Alright, I was assuming this would be more like a Bone Crusher or a Omen of the Forge. I've seen some of their lists play some form of removal. So this is why we did, however, not play the Mire Triton, which we would be happiest to get killed, because if this survives, it isn't nothing. It allows us to continue digging. Oof, Teferi. Feel like this is going to be a bounced sprite.
Trust me, I have a plan.
Alright. Found the land. To me that means deploy the sprite, deploy the Secret Keeper. because now we have a way to kill the Teferi. Feel like it's just gonna end up getting killed though. We didn't keep the best hand for this particular matchup.
Might be a bad idea.
Alright, here we go. And that is when it attacks, so even if we're not attacking them, it still has its ability. I feel this is going to, oh no, that's right, he had a turn to tick up. This will not be us killing a Teferi. This will be us wishing we were killing a Teferi. And instead deploying a Tomebound Lich to loot away a Lotleth Giant. There's a Cauldron's Gift. Not bad.
That's more like it.
There goes our Lich. We'd have much rather they, you know, killed it than did that, but hey, we don't exactly get to choose the terms of this game. Now then, with only the Giant in the bin, we're not in the best of spots, so we're going to continue building towards the kill with him. There we go. 7 in the yard. That's not no damage, but it's not enough damage.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
I also don't want to reanimate the Raise and Forerunners as long as our opponent has a ticked up Teferi that they could instant speed Wrath our entire board and leave us with just a wasted reanimation spell, really. One thing we could do is try and hit enough lands to start hard casting these giants, but somehow I feel that's not going to be the path towards victory here. We'll, however, swing, I believe, at them with the Mire Triton if it survives. Potentially at the Teferi. I don't think it's going to die, and getting our opponent dead to a Lotleth Giant is probably our best bet. Oof, never like to see that. But is this straight up a game? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe this is. Oh, that's right, that's right. We cannot reanimate yet. So, here we are going to, we can't deal with the Teferi. They'd be able to just bounce it and reset it even if we did damage to it. I feel they might just bounce their Elspeth Conquers, but even so, we will continue on. I think one of our best bets here is actually trying, ironically, to continue hitting lands. Continuing to hit lands will allow us to straight up cast Lotleth Giant, which could potentially win the game if combined with a second Lotleth Giant from the Cauldron's Gift. Not plan A, but we have worse plans. They got no value off of the last counter on their Elspeth Conquers. That is always nice. There we go. I think that is basically the death toll for our end raise there. Is it though?
No, I am not making this up.
There goes our Facet Reader. And I believe they'll be dropping the Yorion? No? Any other spell would probably be better, actually. Oof, Narset. So, needless to say, that is the end of our our Endray's Forerunner Dreams there. So they would not be able to trade with it. They're trying to see the most possible damage that could be done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the most we could do if we were to deploy the end rays here. I think that's a pretty condemning statement against going for it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is swing everything at the Teferi. We have lethal through the double Lotleth, and killing Teferi would be our the nicest thing we could do to trade off with the shark. There we go, we get to hard cast Lotleth Giant next turn. We're pretty close to a game here. Trade with the shark, reduce their clock. Do not cast Cauldron's Gift. That would self-mill us with the lands we currently have. Suppose I could have shocked and managed it, so my bad there. Next turn I'll be casting the giant from my hand.
Meditate.
What do you find, opponent? Nothing. Alright, if we win this, I will not believe it. Shark Typhoon. They make an army now. That doesn't let them exile stuff of ours, does it? Gain 5 life. Oh, now we're not in the place we would like to be. But they can only do that once. That's not enough life. Is once again not enough life. We are also, I believe, dead here though. Does not have reach, does not grant lifelink. Well, we almost did it. That would have been very impressive had we managed. I don't suppose there's anything we'd rather hit with this Cauldron's Gift, but we could actually stay alive. No, because of the pump from the Elspeth. Maybe our opponent doesn't see it. So we might be able to mill over how many? 4, 5. Would not be enough to kill them from 18. So here we go with Cauldron's Gift. Pay Adamant. And if we are to we will bring back the Lotleth, because we cannot. Once again, we're just dead no matter what we do here. We're going to at least, you know, put some fear into them. Maybe they don't see that they have lethal and we're able to kill them even though we shouldn't be able to. Second Shark Typhoon into Elspeth did us in there. We did come incredibly close once again, though. Phew, Agent of Treachery. Once again, never know. Opponent could always make a mistake here. Never make your opponent's best plays for them.
Believe in yourself. I believe.
Resolve the Teferi.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
We have no elves, but we may as well loot. And you can see there, even through this board, we were a single turn off once again from straight up having lethal. We should have had that game. That was once again due to my misplay. If I had simply shocked in that land, I'd have been able to cast without Dauntless our Cauldron's Gift, deal half of their life to them, and then next turn resolved the second copy of Lotleth Giant and had lethal right there. But that is on me. I played before I thought about it because I was too busy trying to talk into the mic. Just another mistake I'm going to have to live with. Well, that's all the time we had, all that we had time for today. I'm glad that you enjoyed the video and watched this long, so please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to share this content with your friends that you think would enjoy it, or so that you can all just laugh at me and how bad at magic I am, please feel free to do that as well. And I will see you all next time. Have a nice